we will first go through the instruction of odd sentences. What is the odd sentence instruction, right? This is very important because you have to first go through the question instruction and only then plan your uh, strategy, right? So what is the odd sentence instruction? The instruction says that generally we have at least four sentences. We have at least four sentences, and they are termed as sentence A, B, C, D, right? And the question further says that three sentences can be arranged to form a coherent paragraph. Three sentences can be arranged to form a coherent paragraph, and one sentence does not fit in the sequence, and that is basically the odd one out. One sentence does not fit into the sequence. You have to find that sentence. That is basically what the instruction says. So the general strategy that I use, I tell my students that out of the given four sentences, sometimes these sentences might be five sentences. Sometimes I have even used six sentences. And then if you have five and six, then this becomes basically three or four. I mean, if four sentences, then three will come to form a coherent paragraph. If five sentences, then four will form a coherent paragraph. And if six sentences, then five will form a coherent paragraph. Something like this. But we haven't seen more than four sentences. I think five is the highest that someone might have come across. Usually in recent CAT years, we have seen only four sentences. This is a recent variety. The problem with this question is that this is a recent variety. It's a recent entrant into the CAT exam, right? Yes, max five sentences, correct. But what I have done in some of my videos, I have given six sentences. Rarely you will see six sentences, but I have given six sentences, I think, in one or two occasions, not more than that. So now these are the four sentences, and what must you do basically? The first step is you try to spot the opening sentence. I mean, this is the first thing that you must do. Try to pick the opening sentence. This is very important. The moment you have picked the opening sentence, you might have, let's say, only one opening sentence, or you might have two sentences that are likely to be an opening sentence. In that case, once you have found the opening sentence, then try to connect it with some other sentence. So connect it with some other sentence, right? This is how you do basically. The other strategy, this is basically linear strategy. You pick the opening sentence and try to connect it. The other strategy is that I have a look at all the sentences. I read all the sentences. For example, there are A, B, C, D. I read all the sentences, and after reading, I feel that this sentence has a pronoun, right? This pronoun must connect with something. So I must learn to connect statement A with something. So I try to establish connections, and I try forming pairs. For example, I get a feeling that AD is definitely a pair. They must go together. So I have to find one more sentence, either before A or after D, and then my job is done. So I have the coherent paragraph ready. So instead of going by this thumb rule that you try to find the opening sentence and then you start connecting that opening sentence, you look at all the sentences and then you get a feeling that yes, this sentence basically must connect to something. For example, if this sentence needs an additional element, then you will try to connect C with something, and you will start finding which is that sentence that will connect with C. And once you have found that out, you have already a pair. So once you connect two sentences, you have to just fit one more sentence and your job is done, because we have seen only four sentences in most of the cases. So the idea is simple. The idea is that either you take it as a theta pj and try to form a coherent paragraph. Now you should not worry much about the order of the paragraph. I mean, for example, if you say that A, B, C, D, one of them is an odd sentence, and you know that C is definitely an odd sentence. Why? Because it does not fit into the sequence. Then don't bother to arrange A, B, D, whether it should be A, B, D or A, D, B. I mean, it should not take too much of time putting the order once you are sure that C is definitely the odd one out. So the point here is that you must not waste too much time trying to create a coherent paragraph. You must get a feeling that yes, B and D and C, they come together to form a coherent paragraph. I don't know the exact order. It's good if I get the order, and if you have got the answer, you must have got the order as well. But there is no need to be very fussy about it. So this is basically the principle. The principle is the same as parajumble. In parajumble, we try to create a coherent paragraph by arranging the sentences. In this, basically, you're not much bothered about arranging the sentences. You say that, okay, A is the opening sentence, then I can fit B, I can fit C. D is the one that does not fit at all. The odd sentence will not fit anywhere. You must remember that. There is no place in the paragraph where you can fit the odd sentence. So even if the arrangement is not logical, fitting the odd sentence is a very difficult task. But you have to find the odd sentence. So one sentence will not fit in the sequence. Suresh, you are creating you're forming a coherent paragraph. But what is it says here that you have to exclude one sentence. So how can you create a paragraph with all the sentences? So you start with B, right? It says, from my boyish days, I had always felt a great perplexity on one point in Macbeth, right? Which is the next sentence? It was this. This refers to what? One point. Correct? So I am connecting this one point with this pronoun this, and this is how you must learn to connect the ideas. So I establish a connection between the two ideas. From my boyish days, I had always felt a great perplexity on one point, and it was this. The knocking at the gate which succeeds to the murder, this is repeated, okay? Which succeeds to the murder of Duncan, produced to my feelings an effort for which I could never account. Could never account means could give no explanation. What will come next? A, right? The effect was that it reflected back upon the murderer a peculiar awfulness and depth of solemnity, right? So the knocking of at the gate which succeeds to the murderer produced to my feelings an effect, right? So this effect and this the effect are connected, correct? So I have made this connection. Now this is basically what you must use to create connections between the sentences. So you say that from my boyish days, I had always felt a great perplexity on one point, and it was this, it produced an effect, and the effect was that. So you start with B, you go to D, then you go to A. Now you have to fit one more, right? Now, yet, however, obstinately I endeavored with my understanding to comprehend this. For many years, I never could see why it produced such an effect. The effect was this. I wondered why it produced such an effect. So see, we are establishing logical connection between the sentences by spotting certain nouns or certain ideas. This is the link. Now you tell me, where does E fit? What has this to do? What logical relation will E have with the rest of these sentences? Even if you try your best, you're not able to connect E with any of the above sentences. Because here I pause for a moment. So, okay, fine. Here you pause for a moment because you are describing a story. To request the reader never to pay attention to his understanding when it stands in opposition to any other faculty of his mind. Understanding, faculty of the mind, what has this to do with all the other sentences? See, when you say it's a logical, see, this is the only one that you feel is an odd sentence, right? So it becomes the answer because the others you have already connected. So once you have made the connection, you just pick the answer, go ahead, because you have to pick an answer, right? You cannot just leave the question as it is. This is how you must try to connect the ideas, because the idea which is not at all connected with the other ideas of the sentence, you will have difficulty connecting it. You will not have very strong reasons through which you can connect it, and therefore we say that is the odd sentence. Why? Because it is not having any kind of relationship with the other sentences. I can easily say that B, D, A, C, they form a group because they discuss about something, and what is that something? The effect which a certain thing had on the writer. But E is neither about that effect nor about anything else, right? So now go and take the next question, the second one. Is it A? Let's have a look at this question now. How would you start the paragraph? You will start the paragraph not with but, because this is an awkward start, right? You will start the paragraph with C. You will say, when it comes to living, we live through our instincts and our intuitions. And then, because the instinct idea has been taken ahead by the author, I will use the word instinct, right? When it comes to living, we live through our instincts and our intuitions. Instinct makes me run from little over earnest ladies. Instinct makes me sniff the lime blossom and reach the darkest cherry. So CB is a pair. But it is now, because instinct and intuition have been discussed, instinct and intuition is different according to the author, and therefore he has used the word but to introduce the idea of intuition now. So instinct makes me run from the little over earnest ladies. Instinct makes me sniff the lime blossom and reach for the darkest cherry. But it is intuition which makes me feel the uncanny glassiness of the lake this afternoon, the sulkiness of the mountains, and the vividness of the green in the thunder sun, the young man in the bright blue trousers lightly. So you can say that CBD form a pair. A goes out. So it is not very difficult to find the odd sentences, provided that the question is the question says, now look at, now how would I try to find the sentence. The question says the wonder rather is. So this is not an opening sentence. This is basically contrasting idea, right? So the wonder rather is. So which sentence would connect with this sentence? We must find some kind of wonder, right? When we consider the situation of the human mind in nature, its limited plasticity and few channels of communication with the outer world, we need not wonder. So we did not wonder that we grope for light or that we find incoherence. We wonder rather. So the wonder is not in this, the wonder is rather in something else. So I can say CA is a pair. So the wonder is not in this, the wonder is in something else, and then you say the wonder is that we have done so well that in the chaos of sensations and passions that fills the mind, we have found any leisure for self concentration and reflection and have succeeded in gathering. Our occasional madness is less wonderful than our occasional sanity. B is the last answer. You might wonder that why, what did you mark? You marked D as the odd one, fair? You marked B as the odd one. Now look at this. The mind exercises by its own fertility and flooded by its inner lights has infinite trouble to keep a true reckoning of its. If the mind has infinite trouble, then why should this be a wonder? On the one hand, you say that the wonder is not that we grope for light, the wonder is not that we have incoherence. The wonder is that we have done so well. So on the one hand, you say the wonder is not in this and not in that, the wonder is in something else. And then you say the mind exercise has infinite trouble to keep the true reckoning. So it is not logically connected with either of the sentences. Look at this. What is more wonderful? Our occasional madness is less wonderful, which is what is more wonderful than our occasional sanity, right? Why is our occasional sanity wonderful? Because of this reason. The wonder is that we have done so well, and therefore our occasional sanity, that means basically being in the right senses, is more wonderful. The wonder is not in the bad things. The wonder is that we have done so well, and therefore our occasional sanity. This is basically like a concluding statement. Are you getting my point? So CAB is a pair. Look at this question now. This is connected, right? A and E. Do we see a connection? We do see a connection, right? Does anyone suppose that the love of a country in an Englishman implies any friendly feeling or disposition? So you ask a question. Does anyone suppose that love of country in an Englishman implies any friendly feeling or disposition to serve another bearing the same name? No, it means only hatred. So a question is being asked and an answer is being given here. So I would say EA is a pair, right? That means they must be kept together because you cannot have two odd sentences, right? So if this hatred is the idea, then this also is a hatred idea, right? Right. So how would you say? You would say, okay, let have EA as one pair. Even B also is of a similar nature. The pleasure of hating like a poisonous mineral eats into the heart of religion and turns it into a rankling spleen and bigotry. It makes patriotism an excuse for carrying fire, pestilence, and famine. It leaves to virtue nothing but the spirit of censoriousness and a narrow, jealous, inquisitorial watchfulness over the actions and motives of others. So basically, this and this is connected. Why? Because look at this. What have different sects, creeds, doctrines in religion been so many pretexts set up for men to wrangle, quarrel, to tear, right? So you can say EABD. Of course, I'm not sure whether it is EABD or BD, sorry, DBEA, right? But I'm quite sure that EA is one idea, BD is the other idea, and they're all interconnected. Now, I should not bother about connecting them because I know that C definitely is not fitting in the sequence, and therefore C is the odd one out. So yes, so once you have found the link, you should stop thinking about the arrangement, because it's quite possible that there might be multiple arrangements, but then you are wasting your time because you have already got the answer. And once you have got the answer, there is no point wasting time in finding the arrangement because it's not a data paranable question. Okay, so C is the answer, and it is, I think, C, which is the opening sentence, by the way, among these four sentences, which could be the opening sentence of the paragraph. I mean, C itself looks like an opening sentence. The views of most individuals are limited to their own happiness. So if you choose C as the opening sentence, then what would be the next sentence? The effect cannot be connected with C. B, C also cannot be connected. Even A or C cannot be connected. So you immediately get a feeling that C is an independent sentence. It connects with none of the other statements, and so you have found the odd sentence. But if at all I have to create a sequence, then I would start with B, right? It says, while viewing as travelers usually do the remarkable objects of curiosity at Venice, I was conducted through the different departments of the arsenal, right? And then you would say A. As I contemplated the great storehouse of mortal engines, in which there is not only a large deposit of arms, but men are continuously employed in making it, my thoughts rebounded, if I may use the expression, from what I beheld. And what was the effect? The effect was that I was first, as it were, turned into a state of amazement. And when I recovered from that, my mind expanded itself in the reflection upon how the horrid irrationality of war. So basically, BAD is the pair and C is the odd one out. So you must find the odd one out, firstly by using your intuition, secondly by using some kind of logic to connect the paragraph. If the question is very tough, you always have the choice of leaving the question. There is no need for you to unnecessarily waste your time and try to find something. Okay. Now let's have one more look at this. Now we have 5 sentences, right? It's a difficult question. It's a difficult question. If I read all the sentences, I have difficulty finding the odd one out, right? The reason of it. What is this it here? There's it as here as well, correct? What are these such things here? What is this such thing here? We don't know, right? Now look at this here. I will start with the opening sentence. Kant wrote a treatise on the vital powers. Now this is basically the name of a book, right? Kant wrote a treatise on the vital powers. I should prefer to write a dirge on them. On what? On the vital powers. The superabundant display of vitality, which takes the form of knocking, hammering, stumbling things about, has proved to be a daily torment all my life long. There are people who smile at such things. Such things refers to what? Knocking, hammering, tumbling. because they are not sensitive to noise. So knocking produces noise, hammering produces noise, tumbling produces noise, right? And it has been a torment to the writer all his life. And the author says there are people who smile at such things. Such things I have already showed. Because they are not sensitive to what noise? But they are just the very people who are also not sensitive to argument or thought or poetry or art in a word, to any kind of intellect. So can I say BC is a pair? Now the reason of it refers to what? The reason of their not being sensitive to noise. Correct. C is a chain. The reason for their not being sensitive to noise is because the tissue of the brain is very rough and coarse. On the other hand, noise is a torture to intellectual people. In the biographies of all great writers, intellectual people. So E, A is a connection. D is the odd one out. This was a tough question. You must learn to leave questions. See, the reason why we give such questions is because we want students to understand that there are questions to be picked and there are questions to be left. Right? So go through the other questions and try solving them. Okay. Tomorrow we will have the reading comprehension session early in the morning. No, 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 no. Even if you even if you connect. See, this is not such a thing. This is only one thing. Understand this. This is not such thing. This is only one thing. A fellow who rides through the narrow alleys of a populous town with unemployed post horses or cart horses and keeps on cracking a whip several yards long with all his might deserves and there and then to stand down and receive 5 really good blows. The man deserves 5 blows. That's what. So it is not such thing. There is just one thing. And what is that one thing? A man who is doing something deserves to be blown. So we cannot connect such things with this because such things must have many things into it. Knocking, hammering, tumbling are many things. But this is just one idea where a fellow who is doing something deserves what? 5 really good blows. So this is just one thing. So always try to logically connect the pronouns with the right kind of ideas. Okay, so this was all for the day, Shreyas. Not many people today, but now I think you have got the gist of how to attack the questions. So you go through the online videos and start working on the questions. There are almost I think I have uploaded. Uh, there are 100 questions. 50 have the videos, and I would be uploading the 50 videos in the forthcoming week. So all the 100 will have video solutions then. In fact, 75 are already ready with me. I'm yet to upload the videos for those. Okay, see you tomorrow then in the morning, okay, with the RC. I will take 2 RCs, not more than